Hey, what's happening? Ward Wrestling Live. Unfortunately, just couldn't jump on live, so I'm here recording this with him, and I'm bringing it to you now. But I'm here with another amazing wrestling mind in our country. It's Maurie Tomke up at Waldorf University. He was a 2004 Iowa State qualifier, assistant coach at Bridgewater, assistant at Ellsworth. He's the department chair of sports management at Waldorf currently, and he's here with us today, man. Hey, Coach Tomke, how are you, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I've been watching kind of for the last couple months, and I'm loving it. And finally, I just like, hey, I got to hit you up. I got to try getting on the show. So
Yeah, man, it was an honor to have you hit me up. I always see you commenting or liking or whatever, and then to have you say, "Hey, I want to be on," I was like, "Hey, cool, I'm honored. Let's do it." So it was nice. Man, I was thinking, I've talked to a lot of athletes in Iowa, a lot of coaches, boys, girls, men, women, um, and it seemed like with your state, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed, open,
yeah.
closed. So, man, what was this summer like trying to navigate through the COVID and an off season that we've never seen before? What was that life like?
Yeah. Well, luckily, for the most part, I have summers off being a professor. Kind of transitioned to that full time 2 years ago when I left Ellsworth. When I left, I was a volunteer assistant and assistant athletic director there. Came here to be a full time professor. Kind of got married. I have two kids now, so I stay home. And midsummer, I got the call from our head coach here, who actually was an assistant with me back when one of my last couple of years I was coaching at high school in Sioux City East. And he's like, "Hey, I'm getting deployed," and I was like, "Okay, when?" He goes, "In 3 weeks." So I'm just like, "Okay, so why are you calling me?" He goes, "We need someone to be the interim head coach," and I was like, "Sure, I would love it." Called the AD. He was all for it. I was on the hiring committee. And so, they think I know what I'm doing. So I think I am. So basically, it was me at home. We put my daughter back in daycare for the summer, which was awesome for her, just because she's now 3 and she can start to read because she was in school with all the other kids.
And a little interaction isn't bad for kids.
Yeah, and so basically, I was, when my son was napping, I was recruiting on phone calls, researching. 'Cause this is like second, third week of June when I find this out, and we taking over a team that had 9 guys on it, 5 returners and 4 incoming freshmen. And so that, and then what made it hard, yeah, is COVID. I couldn't really do on-campus visits, so a lot of it was trying to do online visits, and because it's that relationship that you have to build right off the bat, and yeah, the state of Iowa was open, mostly kind of closed, but it was kind of in a nutshell kind of nice because like, well, I can't really go anywhere, so I got to look at the back bushes in our backyard a lot because that's where our table looks out the window. But yeah, I think it was awkward just because like you ask a kid, so what are you doing? Oh, I'm from like Georgia. I can't leave my house. Or I'm from Florida. Well, either I go out to I go for a run. So it kind of made the kids a little bit more accessible with kind of a really short timeline of trying to recruit, but at the same time, it really kept me locked down. And yeah, so it was either at my kitchen table when it was during the day, and then when my wife would get home, I'd go down to the basement. So
Wow. Yeah, and but talking to, I spoke to a few coaches, and there's a lot that has been learned as far as new skills towards recruiting because of having to do it a different way that may be beneficial down the road. Like, I was talking to some coaches were saying, now I don't think I'll ever do that first, second, third, fourth visit ever again. I think it's going to be, I'm interested in a kid. Are they interested in us? Let's get on a Zoom meeting now. Okay, let's have a follow-up Zoom meeting. Okay,
yeah,
now it's time for that visit. Let's get that visit on campus. Um, and it really made a difference as far as that's concerned, where that might help with the recruiting budget too, to do more things, to recruit more
definitely,
athletes, because you're
definitely.
not spending it on visit 1, visit 2, visit 3, visit 4. Maybe you're only getting maybe 1 or 2 visits per athlete because you're getting the real. By the time they're coming to visit, you guys are pretty sure that you're in the running or you're the school, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it was, it's just challenging. Yeah. Cause Zoom and, well, I don't have Zoom. Okay. Well, hey, let's hit Facebook. Well, I don't feel like I'm out of touch that much, but the number of kids that don't even have Facebook anymore, it's like, oh, hit me up on Instagram. I'm like, what's that? Like, I know what it is. Like, how do I get one? So,
Well, and also a lot of parents maybe are not letting their kids do that. Oh, Terry Tomke to Ward Wrestling Live. How do I get this live on Facebook?
That's my dad.
Please let me know. Thank you. Maybe shoot him a text. Do you have your phone
Yeah.
there? Yeah, just shoot him a text. Say, hey, Facebook was acting up, and
Yeah.
we're recording it, and I'll post it as soon as we get off.
We're recording it.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
I kind of it's been good that I've had to do a handful of these like this because it's only been the last couple of weeks that this kind of happened because I think there's going to be times where I'm out and about and I want to do a recording and I'm not going to go live. I'm just going to set up my tripod, say, hey, let's do the interview, and then I'll post it tonight when I get back to the room or something, So
yeah, he's a proud dad, and funny enough, he grew up in a town called Eagle Grove, which is pretty close to here. And back in especially 60s, 70s, and 80s, they were like the town. Back when like Iowa wrestling, like it didn't matter if you were a 1A state champion or a 3A. You didn't want to mess with Eagle Grove kids, and he was a basketball player.
So, oh wow, nice.
So a lot of his friends are like, so your son he wrestles? Like what? Yeah. My dad's probably like 5'11", 5'10", 5'11". And then here I stand, I'm 5'7" now, but back in high school, I don't think I got over 5'5" until I graduated and went into college. So they're like, what do you mean he's 5'5"? Like,
it's all, I think that's great. Yeah, and it's cool. I'm glad that people want to watch, and especially parents. It's cool. Yeah, so that the recruiting scene definitely different, huh? I mean, so I know you talked about this a little bit. So the head coach that's there, he's active military or he's a reserve and he got deployed and
he's reserve guard so he just got called up. He I think had another year or two where he had to fulfill his requirements, and this one came up and he said I keep not that he's pushing it off, but he's like, hey, this is one that I think is it just I hate to say fits his time, but yeah, he talked to me like, is this a good time? I was like, well, he had only been here for a year, and I said, well, and I kind of was, and it was more his decision. I said, hey, yeah, just go, like, what, don't don't get too settled here, but hey, this is an opportunity I think for you to get your requirements done. I think he's stationed over in Africa right now, Northern Africa.
Wow.
And I've talked to him a couple times. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. I said, hey, when he called me up, and I said, hey, when are you actually getting shipped over there? And he goes, I'm driving across base right now, man. Like, I'm like, oh, dude, like the fact that you're actually calling me. So
well, and I'm sure you'll welcome him back with open arms.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why this is, I would love to stick on while I can, but it's his job, and I don't want to take that from him. We hired him with full confidence, and we're grateful that he's serving our country and doing what he needs to do. And I told him he has one job, to come back. So
once you come, we'll worry about wrestling after that.
Don't you called me through, so I said, hey, I got this under control, man. Like keep your head down.
Literally, I'm not doing anything in comparison to what you're doing right now. Like
exactly.
You go defend the country.
Please
just come back. Like if we lose a wrestling match, nobody's dying. Like this is more serious. But you thought you were out of wrestling, and boom, there you are. You get roped back into it. You over a program with 9 kids on it. What are you looking like now?
We're sitting at 17, 16 guys with a 17th playing football. I just asked him the other day, so what are the chances of you maybe coming in a little bit early? And he goes, well, I'm the long snapper. And I'm like, oh, dang, it's the specialty position. No, like where there is no backup.
So,
So, but he's his name's Cole Lidekin, great kid, 2-time state qualifier out of Missouri. He was already committed to coming here for football, and they asked him, "Hey, do you want to wrestle?" And I called him. I said, "Hey, do you want to wrestle? Like, I'm not asking you. Like, you're gonna be here. Like, and he's like, "Oh, would you let me?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm gonna let you. Like, no, I want you on the team. I need more numbers." But I'll admit, I got really lucky. Early on in my career, I did not know how to recruit. Cole Spree, the guy who's basically taught me everything. He just started the program last year at Indian Hills, so this is their first year of competition. He taught me everything I know. And I remember the first recruiting call I ever made. He's like, "This kid is verbally committed. Just call him for your first cold call." I'm like, "Awesome." And literally that's what I said like the whole time, like, "Awesome." And the kid would say something else, and I'd just go, "Awesome." We hung up the phone like 7-8 minutes later, and Cole looks at me and goes, "So was that awesome?" And I go, "Yeah, it kind of was." He goes, "No, it wasn't, because that's all you said." And so
10 minutes later, the kid decommitted? No.
Oh, he never answered a call again. So I had to learn really quickly, and I feel like everything I've learned, I've been very lucky with some good tutelage from Cole, and then also kind of stepping back a little bit for a year and relearning the recruiting process. I have a 4-time state qualifier from Oklahoma that I kind of, like my dad would say, fell with my butt in the butter. I have a kid, Noah Wilson. He's a 2-time state place winner. Got 4th junior and senior year from Wacala,
Florida?
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky.
Wacala, I think, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I
Yeah,
see on the signs and stuff.
Yeah, they're blue and red.
Yeah, when I'm going through certain parts of Florida, like Wacula, Ukamakachi, Lakamaluchi, Ikabatuchi, I'm like, okay, what are the names?
Yeah, so the downside was, that mostly every Iowa kid was committed, and most surrounding states, but that I was able to reach out to all over the country and get a full team of 17. I was up to 21, but a couple guys, last minute changed their minds. Fully admit the joy of coaching. I learned this from a really young age from a really good football coach. You don't count heads until you tuck them into bed that first night. Literally had a kid show up at 9:30 at night the day before school started. And I said, "Hey, it's too late to check in. You and your parents are spending the night anyway, so can you stay in the hotel?" Get a call at 10:30. "Hey, we're on our way home."
I was in the car business for 20 years selling cars, and I used to tell, when I was manager, I tell my guys, "Hey, don't count that deal until you see the taillights leaving."
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you ever get a hold of Jacob?
I think I tried, and sometimes I think late in the summer, it just never really worked.
Yeah, I think he's taking a break this year, and then he's gonna.
Yeah, and sometimes and that's the hard part. Some kids are really open and honest. Like I just sent. Luckily, we have a pretty cool system here that I can just feed in, some names and it'll help me process it. And I get emails back like, "Hey, coach, thanks for the note, but I've already committed to the University of Virginia." I'm like, "Okay, yeah. Don't waste your time on me." Or kid will send me his phone number, and after about the 30th call, the 50th text message, it's been 3 months. That's when I'll stop trying to call, when I don't get a call back. So.
So here's what this is what you should do, and it's only between you and I. Nobody's going to hear this, right?
Yeah.
When I had to cold call in real estate, if I called and nobody answered, then I'd be like, I hit them up with something like, "Well, I guess you don't want to sell your house today or whatever," and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Something to that extent, and just something to spark them, and I'd finally get a text back like either F off or "Okay, I'm interested" or something, right? So I usually hit these kids up that just totally ignore you and be like, "Okay, well, I guess college isn't for you this year, right? You're not going."
Yeah.
And then they hit you. But I mean, being in Iowa and being in an NAIA school, it's got to be a battle. I mean, you got the best NAIA program in the land.
I think you're alluding to Grandview.
Yeah. I mean,
Nick Mitchell has done a phenomenal job down there. You know, like coming from the Iowa JUCO system, which, you know, there are a lot of JUCOs all around the country, but I think the toughest region is Iowa. I mean, you're talking, you know, teams that are, you know, there's now six junior colleges, and typically, at least up until this last year when there were six, all five would be in the top 15, if not the top 10. I think the year that we got third at Ellsworth, yeah, we were all in the top 11. Like it was
Wow.
nuts. And so I'm recruiting against them, and then you throw in the Iowa NAIAs. You have Morningside, Briar Cliff, you know, and I'm a Morningside grad, so you know I know they're a good school. So is Briar Cliff, where our head coach Ryan Dickinson went to. Yeah, we're all competitive. We're all basically trying to go after the same kids, and it's how do you separate yourself, you know? You know, and I'll admit we're completely rebuilding a program here. The numbers got down, yeah, and so we're, you know, my thing with my guys this year is pride. You know, how can we bring pride back to our program? And that's something that Cole Spree and I had to do at Ellsworth. We, you know, he got there late our first year coaching together. And I'm not going to lie, you know, hopefully he doesn't get mad for me saying this, but literally that first year, we put our 25-pounder who was an All-American that year and our 41 who was in the blood round. They would go drill and do stuff while majority of the rest of the team played dodgeball, just because we were so injured. We were so low on numbers. And fast forward 2 years later, we're winning the region. We have a national champ. His name was Josh Silvera. He was from Bishop. I'm drawing a blank where he was from in Florida. But he's from the Miami area. He now fights out of American Top Team. But yeah, like we got lucky. We found guys, and yeah, so it's kind of hard to compete against other schools and trying to find the good talent, not only here in Iowa, but Minnesota, Illinois, just the Midwest. But then, yeah, like we were kind of discussing earlier, there's some up and coming states.
Yeah, I haven't had the I've never met Mr. Mitchell, Coach Mitchell. I've never gotten to talk to him. I'd love to have him on, but I've had a lot of his wrestlers on, and I've had the women's team on, a lot of the women wrestlers, and but I've had a lot of NAIA men and women coaches around the country, right? As you've seen, and it, you know, all of them. It seems like there's kind of seems like the coaching NAIA crew is kind of tight knit. Like you guys talk, communicate, even though you're competitive and you're chasing athletes that you want to wrestle for you, but there's times that you guys also talk between each other where it's like, hey, I'm recruiting this kid, great kid, but we just don't have his major or her major.
Oh yeah.
Not the right fit. I think you should talk to her or talk to him.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool because when it boils down to it, it's about the kid, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Like I had a kid that wrestled at Ellsworth for me, a 2-time All-American for us, who then went on and was an All-American at Grandview, took this last year off. I was hot and heavy on him, like, hey, like all summer talking, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm going back to Grandview. I'm like, oh, like, and you know, it's well wishes, you know, if that's the right fit for him, I want the best for him. I want him to get his degree, you know, and I think a lot of us kind of, you know, it's not, yeah, we want to win. We want to have All-Americans, national qualifiers, national champs, but end of the day, you know, you don't see too many guys like Enoch Francois who go on from NAIA and go finish second and third in Greco and freestyle at the U.S. Open and is on the U.S. national team. A lot of these kids are going to go on and become, you know, doctors, lawyers, business people, teachers. You know, they're the people that are building our good foundation of youth wrestling in middle school and high school. And so, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's about their education and using wrestling as a tool to move on with their lives. So
I know you started your coaching career, so you were coaching at high school for a little bit, and then into the JUCO scene. Now, I've talked to some JUCO coaches around the country, and being a JUCO coach is a little bit different because, from what I understand, you're recruiting a kid to recruit a kid, kind of. And what I mean by that is like, okay, you know, Johnny needs to get his grades up, or Johnny needs another year of wrestling and is just not ready for that level yet,
Exactly.
or Johnny went to a NCAA Division I school, but just it didn't work out for him right now. He's checking out. Let's get him back in the sport, get that love for it again. Let's wind up the wheels again and get him going again. But then not only is your job to bring him in, fix him like a pottery, right?
Yeah.
But then your job is to now place him and sell, NAIA or sell NCAA or sell Division III, Division II on. Now let's take it to a senior level college and get them there. So your focus is a little bit different than right now. Now you're at NAIA, which is a 4-year college, just like the Division Series. And now you're recruiting kids for the next 40 years to give them life, to give them career, to give them success, as opposed to that being kind of like that middle ground. How has that adjustment been for you and that learning process?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a curveball. I'm not gonna lie. That first couple weeks, being a professor, I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but I kind of forgot about that grade factor. Like that first couple weeks, I wasn't asking like how are your grades, because at junior college, all they need is to graduate high school, and they're in. And so
do me a favor. This is a mirror. Yeah, it fogged.
Yeah.
You're in.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's like, hey, what are your grades like? Have you taken the ACT? And that was huge this year, ACT or SAT. A lot of these kids were going to take it in March, April, May, and never got the chance. So luckily we waived that for this year, and then the NAIA has waived one of those parts. If you did take it, you can fall under, things. But yeah, it was kind of different of, normally I'm getting those either kids who need, get their grades up, or socially, they're not making it work, or they're trying to take a step back for a year. It was finding that, I don't want to say more well-rounded, but those kids that are looking for a place for 4 years, that maybe had bigger dreams, but have, but just were kind of struggling, or those late bloomers. That's kind of what I had to look for this year. It made it a lot, or just, I don't want to say a lot harder, but it was a challenge to kind of readjust to that right away. And okay, let's go. Why was this situation? Hey, let's see if we can or not convince admissions, but let's talk to admissions. Maybe they can, put you on a probationary and you have a semester to get you the right grades. Kind of like, just some of these kids that were making late decisions. Those are kind of the kids that I was able to jump on. And so, it's a transition and they're a little bit more, sometimes parents involved are a little bit more when they're looking at a 4-year, because there is a lot more. It's going to cost a little bit more. And they really want to get down to the brass tacks right away. Like how much they're going to cost, what's my living situation going to be?
Right.
So that was
especially now, right? Because around the country, there's a lot of dorms that are still closed, but kids still have to go to school, so they're getting housing off campus. That if the school's not helping with that, that's got to be costly. But I'm sure there's a lot of parents, local parents, that are taking kids in and helping out and doing different things. I know that's happening at boarding schools. I gotta imagine it's happening at colleges too.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky. We have everything open. We're doing screenings. If someone has a symptom, we screen, and we've been pretty lucky. So I think, we've had a couple guys quarantine just because, hey, you were exposed to somebody. And then each professor, we have, we stream every class. So we're trying to roll with it the best possible. And, we're taking every precaution that we can to make sure that we keep the school open. And I think we're doing a really good job. We have a great on-campus nurse. Our athletic trainers doing a great job. And just, every day for practice, whether it's study table or we go out and run, I have to check their temperatures and, hey, do you have any of these symptoms? I show them a sheet and they have to read it really quick, and then yes or no. And then, if they have a headache, hey, you got to go back to your dorm room and go talk to the nurse. And then if they get cleared, they come back. So.
Yeah, a lot of the same stuff. This year, you pull up into the drop-off lane at my kid's private school. And you got to roll down your window. They come up and hit the kids with the temperature gauge, make sure you're good, and then in you go, right?
Yeah.
Not roll the window up, take them home, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of cool stuff there. So if I'm I'm a kid out here right now and I'm looking for a 4-year college. I want to wrestle.
Mhm.
You know, how do I get a hold of Coach Tomke? What kind of kid are you looking for? How can I be part of your program?
Yeah. I like to run my program with the 3 B's. Be a good person, number one. Number two, be a good student. Number three, be a good athlete. And it's always in that order. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but like being a good person, there's never the wrong time to do the right thing. Be a good student. That doesn't mean A's, straight B's, but like you're going to class, you're doing your homework. When you need help, you go ask questions. And then, be a good athlete. Again, show up to practice on time, give it your all. I'm never gonna, point a kid out because they finished last in sprints. I actually told one of my heavyweights, he was crawling. I go, yeah, you're still moving forward. And that's how we do it. So that's the type of kid I'm looking for. That they want to be better tomorrow than they were today. They're always pushing, 0. 0 million zeros and 1 is still moving forward. So I think like, and these aren't hard numbers, but yeah, if you're around like a 2.5, 20 ACT, I don't know the SAT, admissions deals with that conversion rate.
Yeah.
But those are kind of the areas, but I mean, we have a sliding scale. We can look in at that, but just someone, number who wants an opportunity. I love giving kids opportunity. That's one thing I learned from the junior college system is, never pass on a kid because you never know. They might turn out to be something amazing. Kind of like my Oklahoma 4-time state qualifier. I found that out 2 weeks before he was coming to school. That he was I knew he had made it as a senior, but I didn't know he was a 4-timer.
Yeah. How cool is that? And what kind of specializations are offered at Waldorf that, if a kid's out there and wants to be this,
Yeah.
we got that program for you? Or
Yeah, like I'm a sport management professor. We have business, teaching, biology, criminal justice. One that's called health promotion and exercise science. That's basically if you want to be a personal trainer, or it's almost it could be a link into like pre-physical therapy. That's a pretty popular one. Yeah, we do have a bit of a gen ed type basis. So I mean, if you want it, I'm more than willing to look into it. And
yeah.
we're always looking to, like, we just added nursing online. I don't know if we're gonna make that a residential thing, but I know that's something that our women's coach, we do have women's wrestling here. I know that's something that he's really pushing for. And as a big supporter of all of our teams here, I would love to see nursing here on campus. So hopefully we get that going.
So growing up as a kid in Iowa, you were a state qualifier, came up through the Iowa wrestling system. I talked to, here in Florida, we're growing. We haven't really got to that generational thing yet. So I think we're starting to see that now. I've talked to some of the bigger states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, California, you guys, and it seems like the wrestling is deep rooted. I mean, it's been there for generations after generations. Where our kids down here are like really excited when a state champ comes back, or a national product comes back, or somebody comes back. This is like an everyday occurrence in your rooms, I'm being told. I mean, you talk to a guy in Iowa City or a guy in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it's like I walk into the grocery store and there's a 3-timer right there. There's a 4-timer right there. There's an NCAA champ. There's an Olympic champ. It's just part of society. Is it the same in Iowa?
Yeah. It was funny. Kind of my junior year, my dad was a principal, and I went to a school called West Liberty, and they had a pretty good team, a good tradition. And I remember I went to visit there on the week of state wrestling, and I visited on that. I was going to the finals on Saturday and the placings because I didn't qualify that year, and there was no school. I go, why is no one here? And my dad's showing me around school trying to make his decision. He goes, well, it's the Friday of state wrestling. We always shut down. Like, oh, like this is a full blown wrestling school. Like, I mean, you still have your basketball schools, your wrestling. Like West Liberty was all about wrestling, and you'll see that when the state tournament comes around, you'll see a team Like my wife went to a school called BCLUW. It's 5 different towns that make a 1A school, and that's the small class. And I believe Beeman is one of them. Beeman is shut down because they have one kid at the state tournament. There's no one in Beeman. They all go watch this one kid. And think of what it's like when you then have like 3 or 4, or if not your whole team there.
Oh,
So,
cool. That.
yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, like it's kind of when you see someone, I had just gotten married, you know, like it's going on 5 years, and we were in Cedar Falls at Target, and we were walking around, and all of a sudden my wife was like, what is wrong with you? I go, do you not know who that is over there? She goes, I don't know, some guy in a UNI shirt. I go, dear, that's Doug Schwab. And she goes, okay, do you know him? I'm like, well, not personally, but that's Doug Schwab, head coach. And he kind of walked by us again. I go, hi, you know, and he goes,
Yeah.
like he knows I'm like geeking out, you know. But yeah, that's kind of how it happens. You know, I've been very lucky to meet Dan Gable a couple times, and his high school coach Bob Siddons, the legendary Bob Siddons, who passed a couple years ago. Bob Siddons used to date my grandmother in high school. So he never knew my name or my cousins. We were always Annabelle's grandsons. And so it was really kind of cool that you just run into somebody and you don't know it. Like I've been to a conference at University of Iowa, and we were walking through Carver, all of a sudden Brett Metcalf and some of those guys are walking through. And again, I'm geeking out, and everyone in my with me at this conference is like, why are you so weird all of a sudden? I'm like, because these are my guys. These are the guys that I watch, that I wish we had trading cards, you know, that's just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, John Reeder, I kind of am an acquaintance with him. It's really kind of cool, like the camaraderie just in Iowa wrestling in general. We were at the Nyack Duel. You just interviewed Adam Foss last week, the assistant over there. We coached together for a little bit. They used to host an open, and I just happened to be standing there, and John Reeder is like, hey, how's it going? And the next week at the Iowa State Open, he pulled me over and wanted to talk to me, and now he's up at Wisconsin, and my college roommate is the director of operations at Wisconsin. It's just crazy how like the web of wrestling, and then how you can just meet people and how down to earth a lot of these people are, which is really cool. Like Doug Schwab could have easily just gone, are you okay, dude? Like, but he knew I was like geeking out, and so to put that in check sometimes when you're at tournaments, that's one thing I'll fully admit as a coach early on I had to learn how to do. Like, oh my gosh, I'm in the corner against John Smith, you know, and okay, he's just another coach, and that wrestler's just another wrestler over there, you know. So it's kind of cool on the mat. You gotta it's another coach, another wrestler. But in public, I totally fan out. I'm not gonna lie.
That's really cool, man. I like it. All right, you ready for the 10 questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, the pork loin sandwich or the Iowa chop?
Iowa chop.
32 or Fargo?
Fargo.
Scotcheroos or traditional brownies?
Oh, brownies. Yeah.
The Doc B or the Iron Man?
I'd say Iron Man. Yeah.
Breakfast pizza or taco pizza?
Oh man, what kind of breakfast pizza?
Oh, I don't know. I've never had it.
Sausage breakfast pizza.
Sausage breakfast pizza.
From Casey's, yes.
Yeah, so I was talking to Eric Thompson.
Yes, yeah.
Who he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he said he moves to Pennsylvania and he's making breakfast pizza for like people, right? And they're like, "What the hell is that?" And then they eat it and they're like, "Oh shit!" They want it every time they come to his house now.
Yeah.
The Disney duels or the national duels?
National duels.
Pulled pork or baby backs?
Pulled pork.
NCAAs or the scuffle?
NCAAs.
Onion rings or fries?
Onion rings.
Tulsa or Reno?
Ooh. I'd say Reno.
Those are all fun spots. Some good food. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was cool, man. I'm so glad I got to meet you and stuff. I had Cody Goodwin on, and he just spoke everything Iowa. I probably could have talked to him for hours, but Uh, man, how rooted is he there?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I
It's
see him posting pictures, watching everybody. Man, so many opportunities there. He was super nice. Um, well, hey, I mean, good luck with your program this year. Uh, you know, good luck with the coach overseas fighting for our country. Uh, and it was an honor to meet you, to get to know you, to talk to you. I hope I get to meet you in person one day.
That'd
And,
be awesome.
and
Yeah, no, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. I think this is great for the sport and just exposing people. And yeah, you know, like I tell most of my classes, when they get me, like if they want to delay class, they just start bringing up wrestling, and next thing I know, it's 10 minutes in. So
oh, well, I appreciate it. It's been, I mean, it's been super fun. I've gotten to meet so many cool people, and I don't know. I'm gonna try to learn how to take pictures again. I guess the world go like you. We didn't have cell phones. We had a camera. So
yeah,
now I've been doing cell phones, but now I've pulled out the old camera. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to use my camera again to take really nice pictures, and I'm gonna just have fun stuff and just try to do different things and get things out there. But man, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we'll get this up so your dad can watch it.
sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thank you.